Going into the weekend, we've got a couple last-minute pieces of NFL news concerning free agency. Tom Brady was not necessarily the biggest loser in losing Wes Welker. Now Aaron Rodgers loses his biggest deep threat in Greg Jennings, who now has signed with the enemy, the Minnesota Vikings. So he stayed in his own division, maybe to get some revenge on the old team for not giving him the big bucks. Now this is going to be interesting because Christian Ponder has had his abilities questioned. The team rode the back all the way to the playoffs on the play of running back Adrian Peterson, who almost broke the all-time rushing record for a single season, coming a few yards short of Eric Dickerson. And Ponder really didn't complete a lot of passes. So now that he's got that play-action fake going with everybody keying on Adrian Peterson, and he has a legitimate star #1 receiver in Greg Jennings, he's certainly going to be on the hot seat to perform this season for the Minnesota Vikings. They hope to obviously not just make it to the playoffs, and by the way, he got hurt in that playoff game, so you really can't blame him. But can they go beyond just making the playoffs and actually win a playoff game or two? They seem to be stuck in the same rut as the Dallas Cowboys on that playoff run. Now, as I was saying, Tom Brady loses Wes Welker, but Aaron Rodgers, he has spread the ball around successfully to running backs out of the backfield, to other receivers. It wasn't just Jennings, but I think Jennings was that almost Terrell Owens-like presence that opened things up for everybody else. So will the Packers make up for it by running the ball a little bit more? Will they get another receiver in the draft? That remains to be seen. So Aaron Rodgers joins Tom Brady on the list of veteran quarterbacks losing their star receivers. Now, there is no star quarterback in Kansas City, but at least they got to keep Dwayne Bowe and re-sign him over there. The Philadelphia Eagles don't really need a receiver, so I didn't think they were going to grab Jennings. They have Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Avant, and I'm sure they're looking toward the draft at both receivers and a possible quarterback of the future. Now, another interesting piece of news in free agency is Elvis Dumervil. He actually had to be released over a technicality by the Broncos. When they submitted the paperwork for Wes Welker, they were supposed to, in a timely manner, have the paperwork in for Dumervil, who just recently restructured his contract so he could save the team money under the salary cap. Whether that was intentional from Dumervil's camp getting the paperwork in late, or whether it was the Broncos playing around, we don't know, but he seems to be on the free agent market now. And just another piece of news not necessarily related to free agency about my Philadelphia Eagles. For the last, I guess it's been more than 15 years, the Eagles have trained at Lehigh University training camp. But it's been the trend in the NFL to build these $100 million practice facilities equipped with all the film rooms, not just for the whole team, but for the different position coaches. And they've got practice fields. They got a practice bubble to move practice inside when the weather is inclement. So it almost makes no sense, except for the sense of camaraderie you get, to drive far away and have pro football players stay in college dorms. Now they can sleep in their own beds and be on a regular schedule. And I think with the Eagles moving their training camp, as it's been reported, to the NovaCare Center in Philly, a well-equipped place, I think it's a better, more conducive environment for the Eagles to learn a possibly complex offense under Chip Kelly. You really need those classrooms when it comes to teaching a whole new system to these players who've been inundated with Andy Reid's system. Now, why didn't the Eagles do this earlier? Well, they wanted to for several years, but the coach makes the ultimate decision on how a team practices, and Andy Reid was the only person at the NovaCare complex or in the Eagles organization who wanted to gain that camaraderie that you get having training camp away. Now, as for the fans, there's been mixed emotions. It's been a tradition for fathers and sons to go up there, or as a family, pack their lunch and get close and intimate with the players on the field. They're not going to have as much access at the NovaCare Center. I'm sure they'll set up some bleachers and have limited access, but it's going to work out better, I think, for the team overall moving forward, because like I said, Chip Kelly's bringing a new offense. Now, to sum up, Eagles move to a new practice facility, or at least their regular practice facility. Elvis Dumervil, his future is up in the air, having been cut by the Broncos. And the big news of the day, wide receiver Greg Jennings going inside the conference and inside the division moving away from Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers to play for the enemy, the Minnesota Vikings, and he'll catch passes from Christian Ponder.